suppose it's afternoon now. I've just got out of bed and it's a weird thing. It's like where I'm at the moment is, and I'll fill you in if you haven't been watching the live streams lately, is I'm trying my best to listen to the challenges that have been put on my plate and I'm being asked to deal with. So I'm not waking up and making those live streams that I was making once upon a time, having a go at the collective psychosis. I'm seeing the problems in a different light, seeing the problems in a different way, and trying to rise to the challenge. I wouldn't say last night was the hardest night I've had recently, but something came back last night that I forgot about. So what's happened is, with the last course of medication I took at hospital, it really did mess up my system, mess up my body. And the way it's messed it up is that there are some positives to be observed as a result. I'm having to go in that direction. So in other words, whatever that medication did to my system that was really, really wrong, really, really unpleasant, I'm having to go with it. It's caused so much distress and so much upheaval in my life. I'm coming to the realization only now, a year later, I can't fight it. It's been too upsetting for my sensitive disposition to life. So I've said, all right, let's make the appropriate changes to be able to digest on any level all of those problems. Well, last night you'd say was the first time whatever benefits that medication may have had, benefits, the old problems have come back, and they came back last night. And it's good for me to speak about this because, I don't know, it helps me with when I am going through these difficult times, just to feel like I can have the strength to voice some of the unpleasantness of my life. And in doing that, sometimes I find clarity in the challenges that are on my plate, and it feels like that at the moment. But last night, the difficult thing that's going to be a real challenge for me to overcome mentally, spiritually, physically. It's a case of I feel antagonized, and I feel like the way it's last night it was observed was like I said a few days ago, or was it 2 days ago, I'm alone. I've got my problems, and I'm trying to take the mentality that my mental health just wants to take responsibility for my problems. You can look at it in a good way and you can look at it in a bad way. The good way is that it's a benevolent consciousness coming on board to try and make my suffering easier by compartmentalizing all my problems as mental health. But that's if it's a benevolent consciousness. Either way, that's the view to take with it. But last night, it was the opposite. It was like, you don't have the ability to believe your problems are all in your head, Andreas. I'm not a benevolent consciousness, and I'm here to make your life a misery. That was the energy of this mental health experience. Ultimately, I'm dealing with physical health problems again, and ultimately, in those physical health problems, I'm alone. But somebody wanted to come on board and say, no, you're not alone, Andreas. This is me doing this to you. And it's only now from about 11 o'clock last night, and if not from about 11 o'clock last night, when I began to experience this. Now, if I compartmentalize out the experience on a physical level, it was really bad. It looked like a lot of the recent challenges I've been having over the past year. But on top of that, it was like an experience where I'm not able to breathe. And where I'm not able to breathe, my consciousness is shut down. And when my consciousness is shut down, somebody else can come on board and have a ride. Now, keeping it really simple, keeping it really focused, I've been complaining about a lot of these elements to the collective psychosis over the past year or two. Auto fucking Sergey, I've referenced it in the past. The compare the market adverts on TV when one of the meerkats gets a blue eye. Well, it's a bit like that. When you're not able to breathe, it's like, and your nostrils is like all the oxygen's being pushed into one area of the body. I suppose it's possible for the body to remain alive, awake, conscious to a certain extent in appearance. But where that other consciousness has, where that oxygen was going to one hemisphere of the brain and the other hemisphere wasn't getting the appropriate oxygen, it's possible for another consciousness to come on board and have a control of that other hemisphere. from my point of view, the situation where I'm being asked to experience life, where I can't catch my breath, where I can't breathe to life, is really bad. And I know on a spiritual level, I viewed the pyramids in Egypt as sort of the same thing on a planetary level. It's like, imagine you got two holes in your nose, and by turning off one of those holes, blocking it for whatever reason, however which way, all the energy goes to that through the other pyramid. I know there's 3 pyramids, so it must be 1, 2, and the mouth is meant to be the small one, I guess, because from my understanding, we're meant to breathe through our nostrils into our belly, the most natural way. And I've been getting a few of these reminders of what's coming over the past couple of weeks. Maybe as I'm getting into a better space, as I'm getting into a better space in terms of being able to deal with my problems, they're saying, right, Andres, here's some more of your problems. You've got a effing mountain to climb. We're not going to dilly-dally. But ultimately, I'm alone with my problems, and ultimately, I've experienced these problems many times in the past. It's ironic what might be the effects of the medication again, because it seems to get me every time I go to hospital. It's like I lie there, I can't digest my dinner, and I can't breathe properly, and I'm lying there all night trying to gasp for oxygen. As you can probably tell, I can't speak properly because it's like one side of my face, and it really kind of shows on camera. One eye's drooping, it's like one side of my face has fallen off. It's been for the longest time now, so I'm not worried in terms of life, but it's just a horrible experience. But my problems are my problems. And it might be to view it that way. It might be to view it that ultimately I've got to overcome these problems. And maybe it was for me to get to this realization, right? Compartmentalize out my mental health, being responsible. And that will allow me to go the best part of the way back in to the problems that have been removed from my life, from this medication. But in honesty, when the darkness comes back, and I'm hopefully where we are now, end of January 2022, the sun's been shining all winter. We've been very lucky. As I enter back into my problems, I might have a month or two, February and March, where the sun isn't going to be shining so much. Or it might shine all the way through. But either way, the next couple of months I'm going to absorb a lot of my problems. And with the light and with the warm weather, I should be able to go into the summer dealing with my problems in a different way. Ready for next winter when it hits home properly. And then I've got to have action plans in place, because the way my problems were experienced before was very debilitating. I can't live a life in any way beyond my problems. It's like I can get myself to the shops to get some food. I can make sure I cook some dinner. And that's my life. But through this process of change, to deal with my problems in the first place, I've come to the point where I'm like, there's more to life. I can't live in that place of just personal problems anymore. What I mean by that is that they're so traumatic. If that's all you want to give me as life, I can't deal with it. I don't know how to deal with it. The terror that's my life is too much. So I guess I have to see it, that there's more to life, there's more to give, there's more to do. And that's what I've got in front of me. And ultimately, I think what it will come back to is that antagonization of my life. I don't know who it's by. I don't know if it's my family. I don't know if it's secret services. I don't know if it's the collective psychosis or someone or something else. But ultimately, one day, I believe it's going to click again. It's going to be like, right, we're making your life hell, Andreas. Which is basically what happened last night. But as you can hear from the tone of my voice, I've got up today and I'm able to not allow it to affect me. But I'm under no illusion that it will go away. If it's coming back now, chances are it's going to come back in full. And when it's back in full, I don't think I can lie to myself and say, oh, it's not X, Y, or Z, like we just said, doing this to me. And in that place of honesty, when your problems become personal to a certain extent, they're harder to deal with. I know what I've got as a challenge in front of me not as a challenge, as a possible support or two. But I know in that place what it's like and how debilitating it is. So what I might have to do is introduce some meditation to my life, to meditate on the future when these problems return. In their full brutality, in their full coldness to life. And I suspect the way I'm going to overcome them is by raising my mind, my spiritual awareness to life. To say, I think it is the collective psychosis, for instance. I think it's the collective psychosis that is doing this to me. And then to know myself within that, to know myself, remind myself, remember myself. Because if I do that, I'll know I'm innocent. And this is a collective thing, a collective means of almost like a challenge, almost like, I don't know if any of you have done much research on the pyramids, but from one perspective the pyramids still are on an inactive level, an energy production plant. In other words, a free energy device for the entire planet. God knows what and how, when they didn't have electricity back in the day. God knows what they were powering back then when they were active. But the other viewpoint of the pyramids is that either where they're inactive they've been reused, repurposed, but the pyramids, the Great Pyramid, was an initiation chamber. And the hardest part in the initiation chamber, initiation center, I can't remember what I just said, a place of initiation. The hardest place in that place of initiation was the subterranean chamber. It's meant to be dark, it's meant to be uneven, it's meant to be life-threatening. And maybe you're all taking me through that process. Maybe you're all taking me through that place of initiation so I can become, well, God knows what I can become, but to become something. To remember I'm going through my problems. We're all going through our problems. And the whole point is to find our own personal freedom to each other in this place of collective madness in the outside world. I made the t-shirt the other day on the t-shirt design service that I'm using. One, just because I like design, but I'm focusing them, designing the t-shirts and hats and everything else from the perspective of quotes and the like in way of mental health. So they're all mental health related. And I made one the other day. Let me find it now. I can't remember what it said, but it's poignant to what we're talking about. Here it is. Talking about now. we go. I've lost my ability to download the images because I haven't sold anything yet. But because it's a long-term plan, I'm just going to plug away and then one day just add a shop to my website, or allow this to give me that ability to get up from that place of the debilitating place my mental health puts me in. To get up and get on. In other words, it's a long-term project. All I know is that I like design in the immediate. But one day it might have some use beyond. And the t-shirt is just loading. Here it is. And it says, freedom from the collective psychosis is to realize we are not free till we are all free. And it's to find freedom within that. And the truth is, there's no freedom. The truth is, it's a constant battle. Because love, on an ultimate level, which is one of the highest attainments for the human soul, from my understanding, dictates I think is the word, dictates there is only one love, and that is ultimate love for everyone and everything. And we don't rest until we've achieved that. So if I've gone the way of love in my life, the place of freedom for myself, in that place of in the place of my problems, is to know that these are my problems. And I've got a choice. I can fight these problems on a personal level for the rest of my life. I say the rest of my life, for a few months until they totally destroy me. Or I can see the picture, and whatever it has got into the collective psychosis's head that's willing to put me through this place, this process. They're doing it so I can be focused enough to see that that's the situation. And if that's the situation, what's the point? What's the point of fighting my problems by myself, for myself? When if I ever come out of those problems, I've got a whole planet to look around and see people in the same position. And if I can raise my awareness to that now, going back into my problems, and having the awareness on love and spirituality, hopefully I can see X, Y, and Z, whoever it is that's doing this, their intent for doing it. And knowing that ultimately my mental health journey is to find personal freedom. It's like similar to the works of Carlos Castaneda and Don Juan. That's what Carlos says is the ultimate purpose of Don Juan's teachings, is for personal freedom. within that place is to live personal freedom where there isn't really. And to do that, I've been given, this is me trying to raise my awareness now on an enlightened level, lots and lots of training, unpleasant training, to see that it's possible. It's to see that you can be alive, you can be functioning, you can be vital by dying on one spiritual, personal, ego level, and that problem that is that constant work, that constant grind, that constant going beyond our limits as human beings. If you surrender to it and you accept it, and not even accept it, you know it's just your life. It's just like the repetition that's going to constantly play out in your life. And you've got two ways to do it. You can fight the discomforts, you can fight the physical pain, you can fight the mental pain, you can fight whatever you want. But ultimately, if that's the situation, the most harmonious way is to surrender. And in terms of raising my awareness to an enlightened state for myself first, and then thereafter for us. But I say for myself first, you can't put yourself first in that decision making. It happens at the same time. What's best for you is best for everybody. And it's to accept that constant grind, that constant work as life, and to find vitality, to find breath, to find everything within that, and let everything else go that doesn't quite fit into that mold. And in doing that, that's freedom. The work becomes life. You surrender to it. It's the easiest way. And you accept there's no real freedom until we are all free. And you give everything in that direction. So that's what I've got to remind myself now, as my problems start coming back to me, start shaking me more and more, and fight them, because I have to fight them, but from a new perspective, from a new level. And I might have some freedom for 5 years, 10 years. I might have some freedom of real hard work. And hopefully I can do the work whilst I'm doing that work, to have the foresight to see when this means of application to life runs aground. Because we're coming from a place of real madness from our past. And in that place of madness, there's a lot of tidying up and cleaning to be done. A lot of prostituting of everything and anything that isn't absolute sacred. And even then, you prostitute that if it's practical to life. And no doubt the changes and decisions I'm making now to get myself out of the pickle are going to create problems for me after this pickle has been made and eaten. So it's constant work on many levels. I don't know if you can understand what I mean by that, but consciousness folds. The amount of times I've prostituted my mind is unbelievable. In other words, I say I'm going to do this thing, I'm going to live life this way, and living life in absolute practicality, I find out like 2-3 months later I've got to make a massive change again. And then that will keep happening. And it's really difficult to go against yourself, to go against all those decisions that you've made to get you through life. And ultimately, as we're doing the work as a species, and the pain and suffering is easier to see, is cleaner, because we're doing the work on one level as well. And as we're clearing up the entire effing universe, we're not free until the whole multiverse is free, really. The pain for what we've had to live through to do the work will start coming to the surface. And it's as painful as it can get at the moment. And those final few folds, I suspect in about 10 years' time, 20 years' time, at the longest, will likely be the hardest ones to take. It might not be, I hope I'm wrong there. But there's the potential for them to be the hardest. So I have to prepare for those changes. With the utmost sincerity, with the utmost intent. Otherwise they will destroy me. So for now, I'm riding the waves. Soon, I believe I'm going to be in the water. I guess I know on a deep level how to get myself out of the water. But this is a massive merry-go-round, man. I've been on this park ride for too long, and I don't know the big picture. I don't know how far we're truly along on the collective level in dealing with the multiverse. So we can just chill, sit around the campfire, drink some beer, smoke something, have a laugh, dance, sing, make some poetry, philosophize about our past experiences, have some real nourishing, simple food that hasn't come from the other side of the planet. But then again, there might be some people that want to work. Saying that, where we are, we're not free until we're all free. So in service to you, in service to us, and in service to myself, I get myself up this afternoon and put together what remains of the day. For our collective work. I'm putting in shifts. On a positive note, last night came off the back of a day of semi-productivity. I was able to get on with a few jobs. Some tidying up, essential tidying up. Put together in place the, how would you call it, you'd call it stud walls in a building in terms of homes, where you put up a false wall. It's a bit like that with the boat, because it's an empty shell when I found it, when I got her. So I put up the stud wall yesterday for the toilet and the bathroom, and I did one or two other things, and the boat looks a lot better. It's not a case of just looking better, it's a case of allowing that to maximise the freedom production machine that we all are. How does that sound? The collective psychosis, a freedom production machine. I leave you with my words and what I've shared today. And when the movements start coming for freedom, chances are there'll be challenges on the outside that would have created those situations. But when, in the simplest terms, we're asking for freedom, I'm hoping that that will be the sign that we're near the end. So politics, society, life, mandates, love. Who owns the 10 Commandments on love? Babaji said, humanity, keep doing your work. I will set you free. I'm not holding on for grace. I'm not holding on for a God to come down from the heavens anymore. I've surrendered to the work. Let's get creative about freedom. Let's start talking about freedom. Let's make freedom a thing for all to hear in its truest sense. We are not free until we are all free. I'll see you all at that campfire. Bring your own booze.